Hi friends, May Flum here. You're in the studio. This is the finale of our bead organizing and I'm very excited to talk to you about it, show you what's going on in here in the studio. Couple of things. First of all, there is mess behind me. So my bead organizing is done, but there's some other random mess I gotta clear to get my workspace done and back so that I can actually start making some jewelry, which I am very excited about because I'm planning a trip, and as I'm looking at what I have jewelry-wise, and I've been thinking about this for quite some time, like maybe a year or more, I feel like my creative style and my jewelry making has not been matching my clothing style and what I actually want to wear overall, which is kind of a disconnect, right? That's kind of a pain. So that'll be the next bead adventure we go on. Stay tuned for that. I'll be sharing in shorts and in long videos here as well as we work on that. Here in the studio though, you can kind of catch a glimpse of the closet over there, and that top shelf has got the beads organized. So here's what I came up with for the strands. For the strands, I sat with them here on my table for like 2 weeks by color, and I stared at them and I thought about it and I envisioned pulling out and working and what would work. And then finally it hit me that what I needed to do is I have some units that are like this, that it's not flexible. Nothing comes out. It's all set. It's all done. But I have some other storage units that are flexible. So pulling out a row of the dividers so it's just one big space means that some of these strands are ultra long. They can just go in there just like that. Some of these strands I don't want to break apart yet, or like I have some that are a trio and I want them to stay whole until I use them in case I want them to be used together. They can stay together in that strand area. Once I've done a project, once I have broken something apart, depending on the project, depending on how many beads I used, they either get their own little compartment, their own little cubby there in their container by color, because I did decide that ultimately, like, let's say I'm looking for, maybe I'm making something. I'm making a moon and star pendant. Well, I know I'm going to want like dark blue beads or maybe dark purple or like some I know what colors though. I know it's not yellow. I know it's not red. I know it's not brown. I know it's not orange. You get the point. So having it by color does make sense for that, for how I use it. And also the rainbow storage that all can get pulled out when I'm working is by color and also by faceted, round, other, charm, you know, so it has all its divisions. So I can kind of go to, okay, if I'm looking for a red charm, this is the drawer they would be in. So, or if I'm looking for gold filler, like spacer beads, this is the drawer they are. So it's very easy for me to work with. Also, everything can pull out and be put on the desk. So when I'm working, I can feel like everything's surrounding me, but in under a minute, everything can be put back away and cleared. I'm very excited about all of that. So they're by color, the strand, and then the compartments, there's a couple of things going on. I have a lot of stone beads, and I decided ultimately, I don't actually care if it's glass or if it's stone that I'm working with. They're all glass or stone. I don't actually care. So instead of keeping them two separate things, they're now one, which means that my stone bead organization, here's one you can see here, just got incorporated into the bicolor. Some of them I only had very few. They got put in the rainbow unit because if there's not enough of a bead to be in one of these, then it just gets mixed into the general population that is that rainbow unit. And that streamlined of if this, then that was so nice. Now, if you don't have desk space, if you just have like a cubby or a drawer, could you do the same concept in a container like this and just be putting like all the pink, all the blue? Yes. In fact, that's what I was doing before that came into play. The beads that are left in here are beads that I don't think I want, that I think I'm going to give away to one of my friends that loves doing stuff with stone beads, because those ones are all like the chip shape of beads and I never use them. And I know I'm not going to use them. Therefore, we don't want them to take up space because we know they're not going to get used. They need to go somewhere else. Or I might donate them like to, there's a place here called Scrap. It's about a little over an hour away, but everything there is donated stuff, craft stuff that somebody else couldn't use. Do you want to use it? So I think something like that would be really good for those if nobody I know wants them. So we have that. Now, all the strands got put in there. That was a whole day project. Most of my decorative strands from mostly Michael's and Jesse James beads. The deal with these are that there's like 1 to 4 of each type of bead on this strand. So what I need to do is sit down the ones left. It all goes to the two little drawer storage there. They need to just get clipped apart so that, you know, clear heart bead goes in the clear shaped beads. And the silver spacers go in with the silver spacers. You get what I mean? The little gold bead that's always reminded me of It's a Small World goes in the little gold beads. Just stuff like that. So that's going to take a couple hours, but it's not a big deal. I'm just going to put them in a cute little container, and then when I'm stuck or not knowing what project to work on, I'll just sit down right there and finish it up over the next couple weeks. It's not a huge deal breaker either, because I don't mind having pretty strands of beads in a bowl sitting on a shelf. That's not bothering me at all. That's not affecting my creativity, my space, nothing, right? So that's all really good stuff. The 3 things that I think are super important if you're doing any organization, whether it's beads or not. Number 1, usability. Are you going to use it? Is it easy to maintain? Will you keep it up? Number 2, thinking about the future. So my poor stone beads is a great example. When I first got into stone beads, I got 4, 6, 8, 12. Wait, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Sorry, counting. I got 20. Actually, I got 20 different kinds. It was quite the exciting day. And I labeled it and I put them in rainbow order. And then a month later, I found 4 different stone bead types that I really wanted that would go over here, except there's no room. That's a very specific example to this particular craft supply, but you get my point. If you're making it exactly perfect for right now and nothing else works, that's not going to serve you for very long. As soon as you make a change, as soon as there's something different, it's going to stop working. So keep that in mind. That's why with my beads stored the way I did, I have them all long in the strand and they'll stay whole. And then as I'm using them, depending on how many I use, they'll either go, if I use most of them, they go into the rainbow storage. If I just use a couple, then they get broken down into one of the cubbies. There they are until they're used the next time. And that's why there's a lot of gaps in the cubbies, so that there's space so that we can grow and adjust and change. Finally is budget, okay? I have had periods of time where my craft supplies lived in a cardboard box, in baggies, in Ziploc bags. There's nothing wrong with that. There have been other times when my supplies have a dedicated plastic or metal or whatever container. There was a time in my life when I had a very fancy bag for crafting on the go that was designed for crafting on the go with all these bells and whistles and a special one for... Nothing wrong with whether it's fancy, simple, basic, disposable. What have you got? What will work? What's going to work for you in your space with your budget at this time? Those are the questions to ask. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what anybody else does, so long as whatever you're doing is working for you and you're feeling creatively inspired. That's it from me today. As I said before, I'm just not happy. Like, I'm looking over where it is and my jewelry is very, very gold. There's not enough silver. It also like leans a little more like antique. So not that I don't like those colors, but I'm not seeing purple, pink, blue, mint, gray. Like, I'm just not seeing the colors that I wear, the colors that I use. Like, I have 0 pieces of jewelry that would go with this sweatshirt, and this is my most worn sweatshirt of the winter. So what the heck am I doing over here, right? So, having identified that my style in jewelry making was not matching up with my style in clothing, that just means I want to make some new pieces and do some different things. And I'm going to be a little more thoughtful if I'm purchasing jewelry. What are we purchasing, and is it something I can actually wear with the clothes I have? Just being practical like that. Now, the good news is with beads and chains and jewelry and all that, for the most part, you can undo it and reuse it. So that's really helpful, but not always. And that's a whole different topic for a whole different time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already so you don't miss out on future videos. My next project is, oh, please let me get a wrap on those curtains. I just got the fabric I needed to do the tops. So I'm going to be wrapping those up as soon as I can here because I definitely want it done before the hot summer hits. Have a great day.